by that time, honestly, I had given up on media. So in my heart, I already knew. I already cried for 1 month. I'm done.
Welcome everybody to the podcast, and we have Aiken Chia here.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I'm so excited to really find out about your entire life and how you actually got to where you are.
I'm excited. Entire life, guys.
Entire life.
Entire life.
Entire life, yes.
Yes.
So a little bit of introduction, kind of like doesn't need introduction, but Aiken Chia is a Singaporean online personality and independent content creator.
Woohoo!
Nice. Usually people use either content creator or they use influencer.
Now the keyword I picked up is independent because it's the first time in my career I'm fully autonomous now. Yeah, so I'm very happy about that.
So last time was under
Many agencies.
right.
Yeah,
Okay. So independent. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so it's almost like an indie artist lah in music.
I hope so.
Okay, so he was also, if you didn't know, winner of 98.7 FM's
Oh.
TV Star Competition 2013.
See what I mean?
Previously a host, talent, and producer for Food King from 2017 to 2021. He has over 48,000 subscribers on YouTube and 125,000 followers on Instagram. He now has started his own production company in 2022 after leaving Food King. So welcome, Akin.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. Yeah.
Awesome. For me, I'm always curious about this idea of passion and where most people in their life don't actually live out their passion. It's actually very unfortunate. I mean, if you think about all your friends, you ask them, do you like their job? What do they say?
No.
Yeah,
Waiting for the weekend, yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is most of the time is TGIF. I follow, I just want to go into Friday, Saturday, Sunday and all that. But TGIM is so rare.
Yeah.
And I feel that for you, you kind of found that. So help us understand your life journey, how you kind of even started with this whole idea of content creation, being in front of the camera and all that.
Yeah. So I grew up in a lower income single parent family.
Okay.
And actually, I would have never said this when I was younger, but I have a lot of that to thank because I absolutely hated my situation. I was from ACS, right? So all the rich kids are eating like tonglok over the, like on a normal day for lunch. And I'm like, how come I'm struggling to pay for the food court food,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my idea of normal was like, oh, there's such a disparity.
Yeah.
But in ACS, something that I found out was that I could make people laugh, and I could, when I spoke at the auditorium, everybody listened, and that's where I was like, oh, there's something here maybe. And I think my teacher, shout out to Mr. Kumar, who is the first person I would say in my life to like sort of pick that up, and he said, Akin, there's something about you. We're gonna do a school play, and we're gonna throw you in. And when
This is what, primary school?
yeah, primary school. So like when I was like 9 or 10.
That's primary what? Primary
3, 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he already and Mr. Kumar is what, your form teacher?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he picked up something about, I guess, my behavior, the way I interacted in class, and then he put me on the school play. And just something about that, I made the school laugh, and I was able to speak and everybody listened. Yeah, so I found that out again when I was in secondary school. I had to do some presentation, and the moment I spoke into the mic, I commanded the attention of the hall, and I was like, maybe there's something here, like there is a, I don't know, charisma or something. That's what people say. So I realized I had this sort of, like, this was one of the clues. And then I really just started in media because I needed a job that paid more than $10 an hour. Yeah, because I was going from secondary school to poly. So the school fees jumped, and, I had to pay like 1,000 plus. So I was like, oh, I need a job that is more than $10 an hour. But my first job actually was already in communication. I was doing customer service at the airport. So I would tell people, I'll tell the tourists where to go and recommend them like tourist attractions in Singapore.
Like Singapore's concierge.
Yeah, Singapore Tourism Board.
Yeah.
So we were at this tourism center. So I'll be like, oh, you can go to the flyer, or you can like, So I've always been sort of just in that communication aspect of that job. But one day my friend in church said to me, he said, hey, when you give announcements, so again in church, people were like, hey, you're quite funny, go and give the announcements. Then maybe people will listen, right? So I started giving announcements. So somebody in church said, hey, when you give announcements, it's entertaining. Maybe you should go and try for be in the media. So I was like, okay. And then she gave me this website, and basically anything that said male Chinese 20, that was the age I started, I would go and audition.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's how I started. I really just put myself out there. But I booked my first show in 2 weeks of auditioning. And I was the main host.
Wow.
Yeah, and that blew my mind.
How?
I went down for the audition and they were doing that time it was called Octo. I don't know if it still is. Maybe you've seen me if you're a kid. I don't know if you're when you're watching. Yeah, but I did a science show and they just said, okay, we like you. We think you're okay. We're gonna pair you up. And they paired me up with 2 people, and when they paired me up with this one other dude, Phil, I felt the magic on set. Chemistry. First time in my life, I was like, whoa, there's another thing here. And I got the job. And that was like my highest paying job ever. You know, coming from a $10 per hour, I was like, oh, this thing is real and it's good. Maybe I can like work this out and maybe I can do something here. Yeah. So that was when I first started to try. There was quite a milestone memory in that moment and that shoot, because I think there was a day where the director and I were just having fun and he said, can you do this in a British accent and just make fun of this whole scene? And I did it and everybody on set clapped after that. And there was just something about that moment that was a bit out of the ordinary for me, because every day you sort of go in and do your job, but that moment was like I did something a little bit above and beyond. There was something inside me that shone through, And so people, that moment I thought to myself, this is something I'm good at, I enjoy, and it actually pays my bills. Maybe this could work out in the future. I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's how it really started.
When you were in poly.
I was in poly. Right. So I did the show for my internship. So yeah. So I have all these like, because I studied psych in poly, right? So I had all these like a bit Howlian people come and say like, oh, I'm being paid 1,500 a month for my internship. How about you? Then I'm like, I didn't even want to tell them I was being paid 10K for the internship because I was the main host. So I was like, oh, very good, very good. Yeah, but that helped me so much.
Wow.
Financially, it was a breakthrough for me. Yeah.
Okay, so rewind a little bit because there's so many parts there. Before Kumar, your teacher, who affirmed you that, besides your friends are joking around, they laugh and all that, anybody else affirmed you?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
So you were known, because sometimes when you are comical and all that, I remember when I was young, when you're always joking around, people don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
Then when the people don't take you seriously, you don't have the confidence that, actually I can talk.
Absolutely.
So I found myself like, all my friends, right, then they'll be always like, oh, we'll ask somebody else who's a bit more nerdy, a bit more like they know stuff, but never ask Jason. Because you ask Jason, is like,
it'll be
talk nonsense.
Right.
You were funny,
but
was that funniness and all that, was that to the extreme that people didn't really take you seriously?
Maybe I was so young I didn't really realize, but I felt like one thing was quite cool. They didn't make fun of me. Yeah, they celebrated my humor, my charisma. There were people that I could feel looked up to it. Okay. And I couldn't understand it. So I remember one of the prefects, right, one day came up to me.
Gonna, you'll be like prefects, like always like, hey, stop talking, that kind of.
But this prefect said, can you teach me how to be cool? And then I was like, wait, I'm cool?
This primary school?
Primary school.
Oh my goodness.
So thankfully for me, it was celebrated and affirmed a lot.
So good.
And I was like a really chubby fat guy, who didn't have a lot of self-confidence. So this thing helped me to really go like, this is something that gave me that much more confidence.
Yeah.
A little bit more confidence in myself. Yeah. Yeah. Because I wasn't the athletic rugby player or the soccer player or whatever, but at least I got this going for me.
Right.
Yeah. At least when they finish laughing at me and saying like, this guy can't even play badminton or rugby or whatever, they still had that respect.
Yes. Street cred.
Street cred.
What, like, you can go up on stage, you can talk to people, and you're eloquent, and yet you're not nervous at all.
Yes.
Right? Because I think primary school, when somebody go up there, it's first thing is like always fiddle something.
Yeah.
You're not sure what to say.
Yeah. So that helped me to build a lot of confidence. Yeah, and thankfully the humor and all that. Now that you mentioned, actually, I'm very thankful that it didn't turn out where people are like, oh, this guy. Yeah.
Interesting.
So how did you sort of? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, right, I also want to learn, how did you like sort of shake off that branding?
So difficult because you're a joker around. You're always laughing.
Yeah.
You're always laughing at people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you like crawling on somebody's back and then it's like, hey, this is damn funny and all that, pop people and things like that.
Yeah.
So, But then you have like that kind of like a reputation to a point where then the serious things people don't ask you.
Right.
So it's only after many years, then even at work, then I started to realize that then I needed a persona that was quite serious. And I actually came up with a persona that's quite serious when I was doing financial advisory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I was doing financial advisory, I was like, oh, super serious, always like, very there was a mask lah. But then after a while, then that humor or that that just leaked out a little bit. Then I started to normalize that, actually I can be serious and funny or lighthearted at the same time.
Yeah.
But that didn't come during school and all that.
Okay.
If you're not serious, then you don't know things.
Yeah.
And then there are a group who like they read books like this kind, then they will ask them all the general knowledge and ask you the general knowledge, don't know shit lah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it wasn't very good for me in school and all that. But it slowly came out that I started to normalize. I went too serious, then not fun, not lighthearted, then slowly normalized.
That's nice.
Yeah, but it's only at work lah.
Yeah.
It wasn't in school. At school, like boys' school, everybody make fun of each other.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I had a blast. I had an absolute blast.
So you were different. Then that's good. So personally for you, where do you think this charisma, if we just name it as charisma, being able to be on stage, being able to draw the attention of people, where do you think it came from then?
Wow.
Or when did it first start?
This one I really cannot take credit for. I mean, the word charisma itself, it comes from the word charis, which is grace, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there is just I'm a Christian, so I believe like I'm created with a certain gift and a purpose. I believe we all are. And my charisma was something that I discovered and I found. So I don't know where it came from. I mean, I guess it's from God. But my responsibility was to develop it and refine it and put it and channel it, structure it, work hard at it to make this gift shine and not suppress it. Yeah.
So same thinking. The gifts that we have, we don't know where it comes from actually.
Yeah.
We don't know. It's almost like some people are intelligent in different things.
Yeah.
So there's like, different intelligence school of thought.
Absolutely.
Some people are intelligent in music.
Yeah.
Some people are intelligent in numbers.
Yeah.
Some people are intelligent in literature and words.
Exactly.
Some people are intelligent in performance arts or even like communication. And
Absolutely.
so we don't really know where it came from.
Yeah.
It kind of like is... But it's more of like, when do we notice it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to say something about that because I think in school, I felt so beaten down because I was never the math and science guy. I was always the lit guy, the language guy. So I aced all the language, humanities, all the pure lit. All
don't need study kind of.
Don't need study. I did it.
Yeah. My friend Mark, same. It's like always like, don't need study, just like ace it. Then
but
like,
from
where?
Yeah, but till this day, I've not passed a math module in my life.
Goodness.
I have not. My brain just doesn't think like that.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, my parents, me, everybody is like, oh, you get categorized as a type of like dumb because you get an aggregate score.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas I was like, no, but I can clearly see my strengths. It's just you're not rewarding me for my strengths. You keep measuring me against like my ability to do math, which I can't do. Yeah.
Don't you know DYDX is so important? In life. Haven't you used DYDX in the last like 2 years?
What's DYDX?
Tangent lah. Yeah, they use it like AMATs and all that.
You see, guys, I had to pretend to know what he was talking about. Then I admit that I have no idea what. Yeah.
Exactly. Don't you use sine cosine every day? Okay, anyway.
Or Pythagoras theorem. Is that the other one? Yeah.
It's the right angle one.
It annoyed me to death. I'm like, so
that is the gripe that I personally have with the education system.
Yes. Oh, but did you hear they are going towards a more subject-based spending or something like that?
But Singapore is so big and to change everything going to be very tough lah. So a lot of the children out there, even my kids and all that, it's still going to be subject to the same thing. If they're bad at math and all that, they as parents or even anybody else, it's we need to find a different way to increase their confidence. So for you, that gifting, it kind of like it showed up, right? And you kind of honed it.
Yeah.
I believe that even though you have a gift, you need to put in minimum 10,000 hours.
Oh yeah.
To make it world class.
Right.
Because nobody's going to pay you or give you the light of day if you're not world class in
Absolutely.
it. Besides school, right? Doing that kind of like plays and all that. Where else do you hone your skills? That means like, do you go and read books, go to bookshops? Do you watch YouTubes? What do you do to kind of like become a better communicator?
I watch a lot. When I grew up, I watched and listened a lot. I listened to a lot of the DJs, and I'd be like, "Can I do that?" Hey, you're listening to 987. And I'm like, hey, I can. Okay, then I listen to a lot of DJs. I watch a lot of, I naturally love food, right? Food content. So I watch a lot of food shows. But after a while, beyond the food, I'm like, how is this guy doing it? How is this, like, you know?
The delivery.
The delivery. And then like, I sort of like, because I've watched like so many hours of maybe like food content, hosting, right? I'm like, okay. But nothing taught me like the real world. I auditioned like a competitive sport because I needed the money. I auditioned like it was like an Olympic sport. Really, I went for any audition that I could because I just needed a job. After I finished that internship that paid me that 10K, I needed to find the next thing. And so that was my freelance career for 6 to 7 years with MediaCorp.
Oh, wow.
I auditioned, I got stuff. I auditioned, I didn't get stuff. But every other week, I'm facing rejection. I'm receiving a new script. I'm standing in front of another camera, in front of another room of people. And nothing trains me like putting myself out there and actually getting to the task. Yeah, and that really taught me a lot. And then you see, I have like, I never stopped pushing. So 987 TV Star, I won that competition. But after that, because nothing really came out of that, they closed my show down after a year or 2 years. I joined another competition called the 5 Search, and I came in runner-up for that. And that was an acting and hosting competition. So I learned so much from like Teh Ping Hui and the older veterans. But I never stopped pushing. I never stopped learning. And so the reason it didn't really work out with that agency was because I told them, look, I won a competition. I came in run-up in the next competition. It's showing you already I've got what it takes. It's just you don't have a place for me. You don't have an outlet for me. You keep thinking you keep projecting me to be Channel 8 drama, which I'm not going to do. Like, booyah! I can't, like, I just cannot do that, right? But you don't look at my strengths and say, I believe in it, I'm going to run with it. Therefore, I was like, I'm done. But all the work experience from booking the auditions or getting rejected has really, really honed my craft. Yeah.
Where do you learn? Because you can go for 10,000 auditions, but you don't learn anything.
Oh, yeah. Watch yourself. Watch yourself. Absolutely. So I learned from a lot of feedback. I asked people.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what was interesting is when I joined NOC, the platform changed. It wasn't this hosty, presenty, DJ thing. It doesn't work. You have to be more conversational.
Yeah.
So I started to change and tweak my hosting to be very personal and relatable, like as if I am talking right at you, my best friend, who's watching at home.
Okay.
And then I started to tweak and then I just watched myself again and again. What did I do right? What could I have done better? How should I have said it? What could I have, how much more clearly could I have communicated? So recently I discovered that like is my filler word. Like is the word I use to pause and think. So now I'm trying to say like less often and stop a little bit slower. Things like that, it helps me to just look at that.
Okay, so watching shows, asking for feedback, putting yourself out there so you can test yourself. And that helped you to increase your craft. Or hone your craft.
For sure.
Right. Yeah. So how then when you actually went to Food King, right? And NOC and all that, did they straight away say that, okay, you are built for this, I'm going to create a show for you? Or what was it?
Oh, so...
was it more like, I have this, can you just do this?
Yeah. Basically, I want to do a food series.
But you wanted it also? Or you kind of like, anything goes, man?
I really my dream was to host a food show. My dream was to host a food show because, like I said, all the kids were eating the tong lok, right? Brother here never ate the good food. So I wanted
for us, we look from the right of the menu to the left. Right? we read Chinese. Exactly. Right. We read the price first, then
yeah, to the left. Exactly. So I was like, one day if I host a food show,
free. Everything's free.
Yeah. So I laugh and tell my dad now, last time you make noise, say I ordered nasi padang $6, right? Now I get paid to eat. So I superseded that. I don't just eat for free, I get paid to eat, right? But I just really wanted to make up for my childhood.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, where can I find this food show? MediaCorp didn't give it to me. So NOC...
MediaCorp have the, I think, Channel U, but Chinese.
Yeah. So they won't look for me. Right?
They don't look for you.
And so they were saying, oh, we want to do this food show. By that time, honestly, I had given up on media. So in my heart, I already knew. I already cried for 1 month. I'm
goodness.
done. Yeah.
That's when you trying everything, but then you didn't really have the inroads or anything.
Yeah.
There was
And
no anchor show for you.
no anchor show, and I was so broke. I was broke beyond belief.
Oh, no.
And I had no more money. I was finishing my final year of uni, and I was studying psych. So I was like, I'm just going to do psych, but it is the end of the road because no more doors are opening, and I'm done. So when my friend,
Oh, wow.
so when D called me and said, hey, NOC wants to do it, I said, oh, okay, I mean, I don't mind doing it because free food. I just want to go and eat the free food. And then who knew that
Oh, my
became
goodness.
the game changer
Yeah,
for me.
that was the door.
Yeah, it was the door.
Everything was like food, and then
Exactly.
you had probably creative direction. a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I need to credit my mentors then, Ryan and Sylvia.
Yeah.
Sylvia really saw it in me, and she brought it out in me. Not just the ability to host, but she then said, produce the show. Because when you know the show, when you produce the content, you'll be a better host. And then she said, actually, she wanted me to edit. Then I said, don't want. I'm like, hey, I'm not that talented. I just
That's
cannot.
everything, man.
I cannot. And that's the thing about content creators, which I'm sure we'll talk about soon. You have to do everything.
Yeah.
So she's like, go and learn to produce and then go and edit. I could not edit. I produced the show.
Yeah.
And then I learned the business side, all of that from NOC.
Right.
So credit where credit is due. They absolutely believed in me, gave me a platform, and helped me to even more so refine that gift and value and add more things that complemented that gift.
Right.
Yeah.
So the gift actually started with communicating in front of people, right? Then it looked like there was a progression up to producing, and that's a totally different skill set.
Oh, yeah.
Was that the first time you're producing?
Yeah.
Or even at the last time you already did some?
So producing is a bit of a broad term, right? But it's basically saying like you find the content you want to feature for Food King and then you coordinate, make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like that was such an organic process to content creation. It totally made sense for me to do it and not outsource it. So by the time cameras are rolling, I would have known the content like the back of my hand. I know the story, I know the price, I know everything because I produced it. And that was, it didn't feel like something I cannot do. It just felt like admin and research.
Right.
Yeah. And then developing an eye for the content.
Yeah.
So that producing taught me, right? So right now I could look at a user generated piece of photo for the food and I could tell you whether it's good or not. 90% I'll get it right. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I produced 200 episodes of cooking. I'm there about able to tell.
Right. Who was your influencers or people you looked up to when it comes to food? Food and video. Because you said that one of the things you studied was just food videos and people commenting on food and all that.
Yeah.
Right? So food hosting, you call that food hosting?
Yeah, I guess.
Who was that for you?
I grew up watching a lot of Andrew Zimmern. He did this show called I think it's called Bizarre Foods.
Okay.
And he'll just travel around the world and eat the craziest things. And he is this like big bald guy, really funny. He made me want to eat all the bizarre foods. He made me want to try the bizarre foods. Right. And then on the flip side, I had someone who was a bit more serious and journalistic, like Anthony Bourdain. Yeah. And I absolutely hated his work at first. I was like, why is this guy so moody?
Very cold.
Clinical, smoking on camera. I didn't get it. But after 2 episodes, I sort of leaned into that genius, right? Yeah. And the genius of his writing and the way he does his voiceovers. And I'm like, brilliant. This is brilliant. And I was so inspired by these guys. Yeah, absolutely. So, and I just threw myself into that world of, I've watched every episode of Parts Unknown, threw myself into that world of, wow, this is what food and travel and learning, presenting looks like. Yeah. Yeah. And this is so cool. I wish I can do it one day. Yeah.
Wow, and then you got it.
Yeah, I got it in my own version. And it really, Food King was my dream come true. Yeah. And where all the points converged and the magic happened. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When it comes to passion, one thing that people really feel, I mean, a lot of people say follow your passion, but then they have no idea what passion is. It could be like, oh, I eat laksa, that's my passion. Yeah. Right? But that's one part. So I kind of like broke down passion to 3 different things.
I love that.
Right? Passion is your interest. Yes. That means topics you can talk about forever.
Yeah.
So that is one part. The second part is strengths. That means natural ability to, for example, natural ability for you to stand on stage, not be nervous, and communicate the idea rather than try to think about what words to use, for example. And then lastly is values. What value do you think you're living out when it comes to your passion? So if somebody has that covered in passion, then a lot of times people are like, okay, after I get my passion, I want to go into pay. But you don't go to pay first.
Right.
After passion, you need performance.
Oh, preach. That's good. That's
so,
good.
Performance means you are at the world-class level where people will pay you
Absolutely.
for that piece of work.
Absolutely.
So you can be a passionate person who bakes cakes, but if your cakes are shit, nobody's going to pay you. So performance is where we hone our skills and all that.
Absolutely.
And once performance comes, the market will pay you whatever you're worth.
Absolutely.
I want to figure out from you for interest, when it comes to interest, you said you're studying and all that, you're learning and all that. Anywhere else that you kind of like, you found yourself that you were so deep dive into this whole idea of communication, like some people will have hours and hours of communication, talking about that craft and all that. Where else do you get that fire of this topic of communicating through a video, communicating through things?
I think I watched growing up. I just watched and listened a lot. I wouldn't even say that I intentionally sought out those topics. It was interesting because it was just like, you know how everyone just watches TV on Netflix, right? My version of that was just the content that I watched became the content that I wanted to make.
Right.
Yeah, because
which is so super coincidental.
Yeah, because I'm like, like, I mean, if you are super into cinema, then you may not become a filmmaker, right? But for me, the moment I watched these shows that I said about, I was like, I want to make something like that. I wish I could do something like that. So there was that. Anyway, I don't watch a lot now because I'm so like, I've done this for a while, so I get a bit like, okay, like it has to be really interesting now, But back then, It almost felt again natural, like the content that I gravitated towards. So, and that's another thing about content creation. I think that people will ask me, like, how do you find your niche and all that? Well, for me, it was very simple. Like, I wanted to eat. As simple as I didn't have money to eat last time. I wanted to eat, and then naturally, I just found myself gravitating towards all these food content. So my friends would be talking about, Christopher Nolan and Revenant and Marvel movies, and I was just like, I could not care less. But did you see that Andrew Zimmern eat the bug, the water bug? Yeah, So I was like, oh, this is the sort of like interest that I sort of leaned into, and eventually something in me knew like I want to do that. So if there's something like I'm for the people who are watching, if there's something that you constantly find yourself going back to, ask yourself like, could this be something you could see yourself maybe creating content about, talking about, and turning it into a career? I don't know. It did for me. Yeah.
I believe that all of us have around 10, 20 interests. Because in a different life, if you didn't win that 2013 thing, you didn't have Mr. Kumar there, you would have gone through another interest.
You are right.
So I had an interest in so I was basking on the streets of Orchard Road, right?
Amazing.
Right. So just earning $6 an hour, just put a hat there, but writing my own songs. So I love songwriting, I love music. So that's one part.
Right.
I loved business in general. So I tried affiliate marketing, multi-level marketing. I love the idea of finance, right? A little bit like, oh, how does money work? Things like that. So I went to financial advisory, funds, and there were many different interests. So all of us have different interests. Curious for you, what were your other 2-3 interests that if it's a sliding door moment where you didn't get that affirmation from there, you probably were to be somebody else? What are the other 2 interests that you had?
I'm a bit embarrassed to say, but
psych, must be psych, no?
For sure, psych.
Okay.
I'm still now I'm trying to see how that interest can converge with my platform and develop. Yes, which is cool, right? Because I've been doing food for 200 episodes. I'm kind of tired and bored, and psych is definitely something because I studied it. I gone through a lot, a lot of adversity to overcome when I was growing up, and that piqued, like, sort of gave me an interest in like, can I understand myself, understand others so that I can work through it? Psych for sure.
Okay.
But the other embarrassing one is like, I love music as well. So there was a point that like my friends and I, we had a band in like poly time. So we go and like gig around, write songs, record music. And I would have absolutely loved to have gone down that path. But then soon after we realized, oh wow, it does not pay at all.
Singapore.
Cannot, really cannot.
Can if you're like top 0.001%.
Yeah. And this was way before like Sam Willow's time and all that. So I gave up on that quite quickly.
But there was an interest there. There was a fire there.
Yeah.
Right song. How many songs you wrote, man?
Oh, so many. We recorded an EP. Yeah. And you know, I will say, right, it was then that I realized, I told myself, hey, I do not owe every interest to go 100% necessarily.
Exactly.
And
Don't
it's okay.
Yes.
And it's okay.
Yes.
But what was cool about this whole songwriting music thing was when I was 23, 24, I needed to raise money. My mom connected us with a children's home in Nepal. And I needed money, but I didn't have money to give them.
Okay.
So I had this idea, if I write an EP and I sell it in my church, right, I can raise money.
Yeah, it's true.
And I did that. And I was like, okay, let's just raise $5,000. We raised $17,000. So
oh my goodness.
I was absolutely mind blown. And this was when I was 23, 24. I had no money. And I was ecstatic that this interest in the end took another shape and form.
Yeah.
It served another purpose.
So like, if like Warner Music, like the boss now, Gerald, right, it comes to you at that point of time and say, hey, dude, I think you have potential. I want to sign you on.
Now
No, last time at that point of time.
I would have jumped at it.
Would have, right?
I absolutely would.
So that's the beautiful thing. We all have various interests, but not everything can be world class.
Yes.
Not everything can be world class in performance.
Reality check.
Yes.
I know. I now realize. Oh, you know when you're a singer or you think you're a singer, you think your voice is world class.
Damn sure.
Yeah, and then you realize. Oh,
I'm you shit you shit. You're pure shit. Yeah. Have you heard Adele? That kind of thing.
Oh, I'm not world class. Okay, never mind.
You're not world class.
Yeah,
you cannot must change throat kind.
Yeah.
So you could have done psych. Maybe you are even exploring psych, because the thing about interest, it doesn't die away.
Yes.
It will all forever be there.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about careers, and if you're fortunate enough, it's always that blending of interests together.
Absolutely.
And then so you could have been singer-songwriter, right? Could have been.
Could have
been.
Maybe.
You could continue to explore psych. That means if that door for Food King didn't open,
totally,
and you've had a psych degree, where would you go?
I would, I guess, try to be a psychologist.
Somewhere anywhere.
Sure,
Just get
or get into counseling, something like that. Yeah,
counseling and all that. Right? Any other interest that was interesting for you?
The other thing was writing. Yeah,
writing.
because
any kind. Like for me, it's poetry and songwriting.
No, yeah.
Similar, ma.
Yeah.
Very
There's that one aspect, but I think I was thinking, if I can't be in front of the camera and speak, right?
Yeah.
But I can write. So that's another thing. Like I found myself doing a lot. I would journal a lot. I would express myself through writing, even if nobody read it. So I thought maybe I could write for a magazine, a publication.
So editorial.
Yeah,
maybe even your blog.
Perhaps, yeah. So that was maybe another smaller less passionate about that, but nonetheless I identified it.
Okay, yeah. So for everybody listening, the idea of interest, it's really, we all have 10, 20 interests. It's really about the idea of which one do you feel that the doors of opportunity keep opening.
Absolutely.
And sometimes if somebody just come and says, I'll sign you on, you won't be here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If somebody on the streets, when I was basking on the street, says like, hey, I'll sign you on, then I won't be here as well.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
But that's the beautiful thing about life. It's just that time and chance, and some doors keep opening, some doors don't.
Absolutely.
So that's interest. We move on to the second part, strengths, where it's just a natural inclination for you. Sometimes the inclination comes in a way that you look forward to certain tasks. That means, for example, you do project work. Okay, I be presenter.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
You gravitate towards certain things. For you, if you were to break down the task, for me, I gravitate towards always about trying to figure out what is the hack. So I in my life, I'm always a hacker.
Wow.
I always if you want to walk there, right? I'll say, hey, let's cut the grass lah.
Oh.
It's always trying to find a different way. If I drive, then I'll try to find a different way. Then sometimes get into accident. Sometimes get detoured lah.
Yeah.
But it's always trying to find a different way. So I love hacking.
Wow.
And so I hack. I love hacking performance. And that's why I'm a coach right now. Right? For you, what task did you generally kind of saw that it was, you look forward to that task? You break it down into the task. Was it really the idea of in front of the camera?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I love being in front of the camera. People are like, how come
Last time don't have camera one. Primary school not really have camera.
Yeah. Or being on
Audience.
the stage. Having an audience.
Audience,
The
okay.
idea. I guess because I was so attention. I didn't have the attention growing up. I'm like, hey, look at me, guys. Anyone pay attention to me? No one's at home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then your teachers would probably say that you're attention seeking. And that's negative.
Yeah, thankful. That's why I tell you, Mr.
And
Kumar,
they didn't.
thank you. He
Oh
said
my
like, maybe I was.
Yeah.
And he's like, we need to channel this and package this so that he has an outlet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe.
Okay, so you as long as there's an audience, you light up.
I light up. I feel like
Okay.
I'm so thankful and excited that I have a chance to be heard, to be seen,
Yeah.
and to give you something of value. So being in front of the camera, I don't know when sometimes people say like, how come, there's lights on a set, there could be lights and like 10 people on a production set, right? And there's this like moment of where you just have to tune everything out and zone into your craft and deliver.
Yeah.
It makes me so thrilled and excited as opposed to fearful and paralyzed. I flip that adrenaline into performance.
Yes.
And that's the part that makes it like, wow, very fun for me.
Yeah. So athletes call that the flow.
Right.
So you're in that flow where you just tunnel vision. You are. It's almost like you are in a joyride in your own body.
Yeah.
You naturally know what is the next steps.
Yeah.
And when everything completes, it's like, oh, that's kind of natural for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And then to see the final product after that, super fulfilling. Yeah.
Okay, so besides audience, you mentioned just now about also crafting the words. You know, what words are better? Because as songwriters, words are so important.
Yes.
Emotive words
mean
so much, especially now content creators where we are always about like what hook is better. Right?
Yes.
So if you're on screen and all that, you can say the same thing, but somebody else says something differently. It's like, wow. So the play of words, was that something that you noticed also?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was so drawn to language, and I mean like the use of language, the nuances, the sensitivities in different words. And I did I did lit, right? So it mattered so much to me what I was saying, but not just that, but how I was saying it.
Yes.
And how I can communicate this. And you add a layer of humor in there, it becomes magic, right? So I'm super sensitive to words. I'm super sensitive to what is said and how it's being said. But I also started to realize I had a huge storage bank for words. So I can take in a lot of information and regurgitate it out in the form of a script or whatever. In writing, this was something I noticed in my exam period. So it's like I can take in a chunk of information. All I need to do was say it out or write it out and it will be there. So I learned that my sort of like learning path was auditory. I don't need visual. So I'm not a visual person, which a lot of people are surprised by. I'm not a visual person at all. So people are like, don't say that. I'm a very visual person. I can imagine. I cannot. Like I'm a conceptual person and then I think in words. So I could not care about the visuals of a podcast and just absolutely zone into what's being said.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is something that I also started to pick up when I was younger. And in the communication aspect of my job, I would say I'm very sensitive and try to be attuned to it. Always trying to refine. But now everyone's attention span is shorter, so I have to think of like the hook, the hook. Oh gosh, yeah.
First 3 seconds.
Yeah. It's a bit of a challenge, yeah.
Right. So for you, you saw that if that was almost like a strength for you, you would also notice when some other content creators didn't use the right words.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
Yeah, so it's like, what a waste. You should have used this.
Exactly. Or like, don't say it like that.
Exactly.
You should. It would be better if you say it like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is it's almost like the gift of copywriting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So some emotive words, usually for example, like there are two ways of saying finance, right? Finance is one, but money is better.
Right.
But it's the same thing.
Right.
But money, I lose your money or I lose your finances.
Right.
Very different.
Ooh.
When we feel.
See?
Right? So
Wow.
that's the nuances where for you that was a strength for you.
Yeah.
You found it and then you kind of naturally gravitated towards it. Do you see yourself changing a lot of the script? I don't like this word, we change it to this other word? Or is it because you were a producer, it kind of like flowed out of your mouth easily?
Oh yeah, and we don't do scripts after that.
Are you
Because,
serious?
yeah, we do points.
Okay.
Because I learned that, the more organic and natural this sounds, I'll just phrase it in that conversational way.
Right.
So we don't do
Okay.
And that helps me train my natural selection of these words. Yeah, because I'm like, okay, my intention is to make it natural, conversational, and then still bring the point across.
Right.
It trains my brain to be like, okay, put this sentence out. Yeah. How do you do a call to action and make it sound like it's the most organic, natural thing? That trained my brain a lot to formulate these lines. Yeah.
Cool.
Made me a better host.
Right. So that's another one in terms of strength. One thing I'm always curious about, the human body is almost an instrument, especially visually. So body language.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that you are very in tune to how people say things with their face, their eyes, and their hands.
Yeah.
And how they sit and things like that.
Yeah.
Was that true?
Yeah, I'm a very sensitive person actually, so I cry a lot. I cry more than the average male. I don't know. My friends tell me lah. Yeah, I pick up on things a lot.
Okay,
Yeah, so like you said, body language or even just a shift in your energy, your vibe, whatever, on a dinner table, I'll pick it up.
You can sense it.
Yeah, so I think that used to be, I used to view that as a weakness, or like, why am I always so sensitive, And when I was younger, I'd be overwhelmed by emotions. But now, learning to manage those negative emotions, learning to manage my emotions, I've really learned to see this as a strength. Hey, I can use this sensitivity for good and for good work, especially when I have to interact with somebody else. I sense you have the same gift, right? So, it helps when you interview someone, absolutely, right?
Yeah. The funny thing, because I do a lot of profiling for my work with MNCs and all that, so there are kind of like 34 different profiles of a person. That gift that you're talking about is empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy means that you look at somebody, you can sense how they're feeling without them saying anything.
Right, yeah.
The funny thing about me, my empathy is last.
Is it?
Very strange.
Oh.
But the funny thing is that I use other strengths that I have to be able to kind of like feel how people feel. I'm not the kind that will cry.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Right? So it's like,
oh, yeah.
So it's like really bad. So last time, like, girlfriend cry, then
you're the typical dude who like...
Then I'm like, so long time ago, girlfriend crying, and it's like, you sit down at a cafe. Last time was Cafe Cartel at like Plaza Sing. You sit down there, and then like girlfriend crying, and then you're like, so in my mind, this is my mind, should I order first? Should I order first? I think she cried finish. Then
wow,
I'm serious because it's something that I just didn't have.
Yeah,
and something about that was a challenge for me while growing up. But I kind of like overcome it by using other things. Like
that's great.
Like it's just the reading of body language is very important to me more than the feeling. So I don't feel here. It comes here first, then it comes down. So like if you say your hamster died, then I'm like I wouldn't know whether your hamster's close to you until I ask you a question like how do you find how do you treat your hamster? Or then you say, oh, my hamster's like a brother. Then I'll go into that area of like, okay,
I love that.
I know how you feel. Compared to hamster, then buy again. Okay, screw it. So I need to ask these questions for me to feel.
I love that you found
a different way
a different way to access the empathy anyway.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah, but it's a longer way, but it works for me.
Sure, that's great. That's great.
So for your empathy, the ability to feel, it almost, if I put myself in your position as a producer, and also you are always putting yourself in their eyes.
Oh yeah,
all the time. That means while you are doing this, you are sitting there looking at yourself. Should I do this? Facial expression. Should I say this? What are they thinking? What are they feeling?
Yes. So I discovered this in my latest...
That's a superpower, man.
I hope. I never saw it that way. But somebody asked me recently, I was doing this interview where I was interviewing somebody and somebody said to me, gave me the feedback and said, hey, I thought you could have pushed it way more. You should ask the difficult questions, push it, make them think and whatever. And in that moment, I was like, at first I was like, oh, really? I should have. But when I went home and reflected on it, I'm like, there is a reason why I didn't. And that was because the empathy.
I felt something.
I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. I didn't want them to feel cornered in an interview where I'm trying to honor and respect their sharing and their story. I didn't want to interrogate them or make them feel like I'm doing that just for the sake of getting good content or juicy content out. And I think I had to be okay understanding that I will not get the juicy clips for the trailer, but in that interaction, that person will leave feeling like I'm not being invasive and I'm not trying to just use that person for that use that story for just a transaction or just for content. The relationship and so I put out a bid. I say, hey, is it this or this? And there was a leeway for that person to go like and just spill, right?
But they didn't take it.
They didn't take it. And I took that as, okay, enough, I don't want to push.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a superpower. One thing I've learned when it comes to these kind of, I call it like personality DNAs, right? A lot of us, when we're young, that is seemed as a weakness.
Yeah.
So, for example, for empathy, you're over feeling
Yes.
where you hang out with a friend who's very sad, you go home, you're sad.
Yeah.
Right? It spills over
Yeah.
a little bit. The funny thing about strengths is the idea that it is both the yin and the yang.
Absolutely.
So your ability to communicate is the best things about you, it's also the worst things about you. Because sometimes people might feel that, hey, you're not listening to me.
Yeah.
You want to communicate. The feeling is the same. So one thing that I do feel that nobody's really sharing that much is that your greatest strength is also your greatest weakness.
Absolutely.
And if you really want to see your strength, you can actually look at all the weaknesses you have and flip it.
That's really good. What a hack. See this hacker? That's really good.
Yeah, so if you are always shortcut and always hacking things,
Yes.
People will call you lazy.
Yes.
But actually you're strategic, you're tactical.
So good.
And you're trying to find the 80-20 rule.
Love that.
Yeah, so it's the idea that within the strengths that we have and the weaknesses, these all can point you to the direction of actually what you're built for.
Absolutely. And I would like to add to that, especially if you're a dude who is a bit more emotional, creative, artistic, right? That society seldom rewards or affirms.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that I had to learn that my feelings are not bad.
Yeah.
I used to say things like, I shouldn't feel this way. But, leaning into psych and a lot of like help material, right?
Impossible.
Impossible. And the more you suppress, the feelings will come back like 10 times stronger. They'll gang up on you, right? But now I can just say, oh, feelings are signals. They are telling me something. And what are they telling me? And when I look at that from that objective, I can go like, okay, this is all right. As opposed to, look at me being overwhelmed by emotions again. And now learning to manage that, put it in its place, and then also use it as a strength when I need to. Yeah.
So that's maturity when we are able to know and very clearly. So maturity is one thing. Maturity is holding two opposing thoughts in your mind and being very clear about it and being okay with it.
I love it. Dude, you should be my shrink. You should be my therapist. Yeah.
So the idea that I can feel a lot and sometimes I get overwhelmed, to the other side is that, sometimes I can feel for somebody and know when is it to close that door and when is it to just carry on.
I love, this is so good. I feel like I'm a creative mess, right? Then he structures everything I say so poignantly and with such wisdom and articulation. That's so wonderful.
Thanks. I mean, I love being a coach. Love it. So it's the idea of hacking.
Yeah.
Same thing. Hacking, and always about hacking is always trying to find what is the lowest denominator that we can like, what's the essence of it? Like?
Yeah.
Okay, so last one when it comes to that is values. Like for me, my value is adventure. I always, it's about boldness. That's why I'll never join Sing Hu, right? Because people who might join Sing Hu and government will be like stability, things like that. Yeah. So for me, it's always pushing new barriers and all that. And even this podcast is pushing barriers of like, hey, you can be passionate about your job. Yeah. Right? Yes, you might be the 1 in 100 that you feel is a bit weird and all that, but you can actually be that 1 in 100. For you, when you're doing all these things and then you're also going into your own content creation and production house and all that, what value are you living out almost on a daily basis that you kind of like, you're the one very few people who are fortunate enough to live out their passion?
Absolutely.
What is that value?
I think it comes in several facets, right? And one of them is on a personal note. I'm built a little bit like you. I like spontaneity. So routines bore me.
Same.
I just can't.
Same.
Yeah. So my office, I don't use one. Like my team is like, you got office, you don't use. I'm out at this cafe, I'm out at that cafe, because I just need that spontaneity, creativity for sure. To think of new ideas, new endeavors. How can we tell this story this way? How can we show the food in this way? How can we change things up? How can this video be different?
That novelty, the different angle that nobody saw.
Yeah. So the spontaneity, creativity, that one is very personally fulfilling for me. That's why traveling, I love, just like everything is new, right? And then
would you also, when you travel, want to go down some rabbit hole that wasn't planned?
Oh yeah. I have no.
Yeah.
I'm not the person who
Oh,
has
no.
the itinerary.
Okay,
I'm the go there, see what happens.
Yes,
They're
yes,
like,
yes.
I could go without booking an accommodation, and I would
Yeah.
love the thrill of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is also a personality DNA.
Right.
Yeah, that one is the idea of being adaptable.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
for you, that suddenliness piques you.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hey, dude, let's go here now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, I
It
don't
makes
care
me
what
so-
it is, but
yeah.
let's just try.
It makes me so excited. So
Yeah,
that
yeah, that
like
kind
that I
of.
was doing it with a friend at Starbucks, and then in our minds,
Yeah.
in my mind, it was like, okay, after Starbucks, we're going home already.
Yeah.
And then I just go like, hey, you want to go Hai Di Lao?
Yeah.
And then he goes like, yeah,
It's the-
sure. Wow, dude, that
Yeah.
sent me. I was like ecstatic that we're going to Hai Di Lao and doing something unplanned, you know?
that's the suddenliness. So when I coach clients with suddenliness, the funny thing is that that routine where, so this is the beautiful thing. You can go to Starbucks one time and you feel that there's a wave of productivity. But you go there again and again,
Yeah.
you don't feel it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the idea for people like you and me, I also have that, is to catch waves.
Love
And
that. Catch waves.
You have no idea where the wave comes from. And
Nice.
that wave of productivity can be 30 minutes, can be 4 hours.
Exactly.
And you don't know. And you can go back and say that Starbucks worked for me last time, but now it doesn't. It's just like that. It's just that win. So you go to another
Yeah.
cafe and sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yes.
But sometimes at 2 a.m.
Yes.
is when that productivity comes.
Absolutely.
Until 4, until 6.
Yeah.
So okay, so spontaneity, creativity, anything else for value for you?
Oh yeah. So as I have matured in this space or grown in this space, I think increasingly one of the most important things for me is impact and influence. I started to understand. When I started, is survive. I need to survive. I need to make money, right?
Yeah.
But now understanding that my platform can create change, impact, and influence, I consider that a lot more now than profitability. So my new series that's coming up is entirely self-funded, a passion project, because I believe I've been creating content that has been causing people to look outwards, go and eat, go and travel. But the new stream of content I want to create is to help people to look inwards. Yeah, and that's something that now I've sort of like changed my mind a lot about. That's why I completely stopped doing I paused my YouTube channel, and people are like, oh, how am I doing? I could churn out another 10 food videos with ease, but
And people will definitely pay you.
yeah.
No issue, sponsorship and all that.
But it doesn't fulfill me anymore.
Yeah.
I need to go deeper, and I
Yeah.
think like impact and influence has been one of the main driving value for what we do now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds a little bit like the interest of sight coming back.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so wonderful that I get to sort of merge that platform with this interest, because I think a lot of creators or a lot of social media marketers think that once you find your niche, you have to stick to it. And you can. But I recently had the honor of sitting with Gary Vee in a room with other creators, and he said, look, people are following you for you. You are not just a fitness creator. You're not just a food creator. You are you, and that's your USP. So your other interests, bring it on. Chances are people will lean into it.
Yeah, I just watched the video this morning.
Yeah, right,
where you were there and then you were...
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's out already.
Oh, I didn't even see it yet.
Yeah. And then you were... he was talking about the idea that he talks about everything.
Yeah.
And you are now the brand.
Yes, exactly.
So I do feel that definitely there's two parts. One is that for sponsors, if you're already very in tune to sponsorships and all that, then you don't want to dilute your brand and all that. But I think you will come to a stage where if you are big enough, you are able to explore different things, and it doesn't really affect anymore.
Yes, I agree.
And it kind of like opens up even more sponsorships because now it's really, you are not just food.
Yes.
It is you and what do you value in life.
Yeah. And I will say I was very intentional about that even when I was in NOC. Even though my main thing was Food King, I was like, no, my main thing is I'm a host. I'm a communicator. And that means I can sell anything. I can talk about anything.
Right.
And so while I was, my main like flagship sort of product was Food King.
Yes.
On the side, I hosted events. I did everything so that I could be an all-rounder and be a host. So thankfully that has helped me a little bit to now if I want to talk about mental health or psych, that people will still listen. Yeah.
What about psych that you're so intrigued about?
Oh.
Because from what you're saying is that your YouTube channel is going to go a little bit into people.
Yes.
And something about the uniqueness of people.
Yes.
What about that? What about psych in general that you're so intrigued by?
overcoming adversity has been huge for me. I keep coming back to these two words because I felt like I had to go through so much beyond the smiley, happy, excited personality that I've shown for most of my professional career.
Right.
I've had to overcome a lot of depression, just even figuring out stuff, like so what interests me is how my interest in psych came from, maybe I need to learn about my brain and how it works, or my story and my emotions, so that I can better manage it.
Yep.
But then that made me go like, learning more about people and their behavior and why they do what they do. Then it helps me to not just manage myself, but helps me to relate better with a lot of other people. And it also builds on this empathy thing.
Yeah.
Because I look past a lot of what to the why because of psychology. If somebody says like, this person is like this, this person is like that, I'm the dude who goes like, but I think that came from maybe like a childhood trauma. I can see past why. I can see past the what into the why, and then give a little bit of compassion to their story and to them as a person. And that has been done for me by so many people in my life. And so as I'm growing now that I have a bit more stability, this is something that I feel like is so important in my life and so crucial that it feels like the only natural way for me to expand and build my platform and evolve is to now go into this. Right. I don't care if nobody watches. I just need to do it. 0 views also I do. Because it's just that.
It's you.
Yeah.
It's your message lah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the idea that you have when it comes to when we don't understand somebody. A lot of times we jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
And the idea behind psychology and all that, one of the things is just that we have just different lenses.
Yeah.
And our lenses are sometimes given to us by our parents, by culture.
Oh yeah.
And we are born with also different lenses. Right? So like me and my sibling, very different personality wise. Yeah. So I believe that nobody grows up to goes on Monday morning to become an asshole.
Yeah.
No, nobody wants to do that. It's just that the circumstances and lenses they have cause them to do that.
For sure.
Right. So for you, when you're doing this, it's really you want to help that person, the listeners, to be able to understand themselves.
Yeah.
And they understand themselves, what is your hope for them when they hear the things you'll be doing? What do you want them to go back, or what will their life be different?
I think especially in media, we feel the need to be a brand, to be a product, to put on a persona. And I think for me, I've done that for a very long time.
Yeah.
Sure, with authenticity, but with a lot of other agenda. And I just hope that my hope for my audience and even myself is to come back to that authentic self and to find home in that authentic self, to be okay in that authentic self, I think when I talk to, for example, we had a CEO on our show, and every time I say this person's name, straight away company name, net worth, success, story, like we know everything already. But there is so much more to that person and their journey than that brand and what the media has reported. And I hope to uncover that. And that is maybe a revealing and affirming of the authentic self. Well, thank you for asking that. I didn't even, I never even cast this vision to my team. They're like, why are we doing this? No, that's really good. Thank you so much.
We got extra memory card as well.
I have so much to learn from you. The way that you ask questions, that was really helped me think through. Why am I doing this?
Thank you. I mean, I love the idea that we are uncovering different things. So one thing for me is that before we leave and all that, one thing very big is that when I hear all these things that you're doing and all that, it's really the idea of the themes that I hear is that really try and error.
Yeah.
Like you almost gave up once you finish your university and like just that's it lah. Just go and just find a job, right? So just keep trying. Keep honing your skills. Understand that the gifts that are given to you are not of your own doing. It's somehow implanted for us. We just believe that God has given us. Other people believe that it's just planted in. Right? But our role is to garden it. And our role is to flourish it.
Absolutely.
And we have many gifts. right?
Yeah.
Not only one, right?
Yeah.
You could have been a songwriter. I could be a songwriter and all that. It's just we also need to understand that success equates to opportunity
Absolutely.
and preparation.
Absolutely.
So you can be very prepared all the time, but there's no opportunity.
Absolutely.
So these doors of opportunity sometimes come, sometimes don't.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing that you shared is that the doors of opportunity that you had is that you kept pushing and you kept joining competitions, you kept trying different things. And if you never tried that audition to say that, they won't want me, you didn't buy that lottery ticket.
Yeah.
You will never know.
Yeah.
Right. And then lastly is the idea that there's more to you than just the brand that you have.
Oh yeah.
There's a personal part of you that I think after a while for content creators, we will become more comfortable to really show that authentic self that it's not just about that money.
Yes.
Because it's still a business in the end.
Yeah.
Right? If nobody gives you sponsorship, you're
Correct.
screwed. You have no team and all that.
Correct.
So there is a business part, but there's also that rise of that authentic self.
Yeah.
Who's that true person?
Yes.
And what is you have a voice, you have a story,
Yeah.
and what is your story? And your story is going to be different from mine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so beautiful. One last thing.
You are so clear and structured. This is your gift, is it? Wow, that's amazing. 'Cause my mind feels like a creative mess all the time. Everything is everywhere all at once, right?
Yeah.
But that is such a concise breakdown and summary. That's so good. You did it all without notes, guys. He just listened and that's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, last question. Sorry,
Don't know
you
where
were
it came
saying.
from. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm a hacker. I always love to hack things. For you as a I would say a master communicator, right? Okay, I'm a communicator lah.
Okay, thank you.
when the guy on the ground is trying to communicate something, it could be a presentation, it could be on screen, but anything when it comes to communicating, what is a hack that you have that you can give to that person to say that, yeah, you can try this out. This will give you that so much more multiplying effect, catalyst effect when it comes to communicating.
I don't know if it's a hack per se, but I want to speak maybe beyond communication to like content creation, if that's okay.
Yep, can.
And I would really want to say you have to just start.
Yes.
Because I cannot tell you how many people have talked to me about asking for advice for being a content creator and none of them have started.
Yeah.
You know, so many people just like, can I get your advice? And they ask detailed questions, right? And I'm like, dude,
and sincere questions.
And sincere questions.
It is sincere.
But I don't see one piece of content.
No effort. No action.
No
There is
action.
effort
Yes.
in research.
Yes.
But there's no effort in putting yourself out there.
Yes. The hack is, right, when you do it, when you watch the footage, it will give you all the information you need to improve.
Yes.
Immediately you're gonna be like, wow, I talk like that, I sound like that, I look like that. Why do I come with a full face of makeup? Because I know this morning my skin looks super tired and my acne scars are there, but I need to look professional. But the moment you watch one piece of thing, it tells you everything about your body language, the way that you need to speak, whatever. Film yourself. So put out that piece of content and start. And the other flip side to this, a bit more internal one, and when people ask me what's like your top advice, right, I always say you have to guard your character. Character is more important than talent. We've seen, especially I have seen, right? I mean, I came from NOC and
the big saga.
And people going to jail and all of that.
Yeah.
Like without character, integrity, honesty, if your private life is not congruent with your public life, all your talent, all your skill set can be gone overnight. And it has for so many people. And the reason I'm still standing here and the reason I still have a platform and I'm able to do the work that I do is because I do the work that nobody sees, which is not just the talking, not just the standing in front of the camera. I make sure that the life that I live that is congruent behind the camera, off the platform, so that I can answer to myself and to my audience and to the work that I do and live that authenticity out. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. What I picked up there and what landed really for me was when you content creation is like that. It's the funny thing is that you ask Picasso when he drew his first painting. Shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my first audition. Wow, horrible.
Exactly. So first EP also bad compared to maybe Michael Jackson's 10th and all that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to content creation, one thing I also learned and also from Gary Vee is the idea is that quantity gives you quality.
Oh yes.
So the more quantity you have, the more it tells you exactly what works, what doesn't work. Because
Yeah.
you may put in 10 times effort for this piece.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You put in zero effort.
Yep.
That one goes to like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So the market's always right and you never know what the market wants.
Yeah.
So just quantity.
Yeah, the hack is right there because the feedback is so fast. The numbers are there. The stuff is all there to sort of give you the information you need to take the next step.
Yeah, so I remember like TikTok, when the first few journey, I was just dancing. So a boomer dancing, trying to do renegade and all that.
I need to search.
yeah. It's the first few lah. And doing ridiculous things. And I leave it there. And sometimes my team's like, hey, take it out lah. Very malu, like 200 views, that kind of thing. I say like, that's the journey.
I love that.
The journey of doing stupid things.
Come on.
And then let it show you that after a while, suddenly one became 4K.
I love that.
Then suddenly another became, but leave it there.
I love that. And that shows yourself and the world that authenticity.
Exactly. Nobody has it right.
Absolutely.
Just whack.
Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to find it and then repost it on my stories.
Oh my goodness, please don't. A boomer trying to dance renegade and all that shit. Okay, anyway. So thank you so much. I do feel that a lot of people have been impacted.
Thank you.
I mean, the most important story is the authentic story of self. And everybody's story can be rewritten. And that's the beautiful thing.
Yes.
Even though you're 40, 50 and you're not living your passion, you can always do that. KFC did it at bloody 65 years old.
Wow.
Right? So it's the beauty that it's the risk of if you don't do anything at 80, you're going to regret.
Absolutely.
But if you do something, at least you could say that you've done it. And sometimes the doors of opportunity and the grace of that, the gods of grace will see you and says that give you that opportunity. Totally. And sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But you try.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for inspiring that generation. Man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am blessed by your gift today because I maybe have like opposite gifts, right? So to see this, the way you communicate, the way you articulate, the way you package it, oh man, I'm learning so much. So thank you for having me and thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.